All right. We are live. Okay, cool. Just double checking. I am live streaming right now to Facebook, YouTube. Okay, we are live. Okay, so it is. I'm David Jeremiah, and it is Wednesday, August 28th, 2024, 5:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm currently in Tualatin, Oregon, where I've been for almost a month now. Been here visiting my folks as well as some family, friends, people in the local churches here, all throughout the Portland, Oregon area. And so it's been a really great visit so far. I'm here until September 16th. I fly out back to Phoenix, Arizona, where I'll go back on the path for my 21st. It should be my 21st house setting assignment that I'll be doing in Gilbert. I'll be there for 2 months, get about 2 weeks off for the second half of November. And then in the very beginning of December, I'm going back to San Diego for what I am planning to have as my last and final house sitting assignment. And that'll be assignment number 22. And that'll be about a 3 month, all of December, all of January, and probably most of, if not all of February. And then I get to officially hang up the leashes and retire and move on to the next chapter of life. So, quick update. I am now a couple days away from doing what I'm calling, I haven't officially named it yet, but this challenge that I'm creating, it's my better version and improvement of the 75 hard challenge. And I'm pretty sure there's probably other challenges out there that are, designed to do something like that to kind of create a mental toughness. Mine's not necessarily focused on building mental toughness like the 75 hard challenge. It's designed to help people gain clarity on what their purpose is in life, and there's going to be action steps that you will do for 101 days. There are different studies that show what type of goals you have, or excuse me, how long something takes to become a habit. And some studies say 3 weeks, some say all the way up to 60 plus days in order to make something a habit. And so one of the things that I'll be doing for 101 days straight are these these specific action items that, similar to 75 hard challenge, you're doing these action items every single day, and then if you fail at one, you go back to zero and start from day one again. I'm not sure if I'm going to have that as part of the challenge, but what I am going to have that kind of mirrors 75 hard challenge is there's going to be a list of action items that I'll be doing every single day for 101 days. And one of the deliverables and outcomes that I'm looking for to, and this is all this is basically, if you're not seeing the two previous live at fives, it's my unofficial doctoral thesis. I've spent about, over the past 10 years, I've read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. I've invested tens of thousands of hours of research, personal research. No one had to force me to do it. No one, I wasn't doing it for some kind of homework assignment or anything. It was this, out of my own curiosity. I was researching anything and everything that had to deal with personal development, mindset, entrepreneurship, things along those lines, personal development. And I didn't know that I was basically doing a doctoral level research project over the past decade. It was just stuff that I actually felt deeply about. And mainly, how do I navigate life in the modern world? How do I find my purpose in life? What does that even look like? What does that even mean? And then how do I live so that I can actually start navigating to that purpose and live a more meaningful and fulfilling life? That was pretty much the drive behind and the hunger for me doing all that self study and research. Now what I'm doing is putting it all together into what I'm calling it a 101 day challenge. There's going to be a different name for it, but it's basically my theory that if I do this, I'm building something that anybody, anywhere, anytime, anywhere in the world, if they did this, if they truly committed themselves to doing the 101 day challenge and complete it, you're not even going to recognize yourself on day 102. You're not going to recognize yourself well before then, but you're not going to recognize yourself because you're going to be this completely different person. You're going to be the best version of yourself. I remember I used to do business coaching a couple years ago with my coach, and he had mentioned something that triggered an aha for me. He was saying, don't you want to see what you're fully capable of? Because he was having the same thought process too. Like, I wonder what I'm actually truly fully capable of if I really went all in, I really switched it on and just dialed everything in. What would it look like? What would I look like? Who would I become? This other person that just pushed past, was willing and able to push past fears of failure, fear, temporary failure, fear of setbacks, fear of obstacles, fear of the unknown, fear of success. And so I never forgot him asking that question to me. He asked himself the question and then posed that to me in one of our sessions. But I'm having that kind of thought process again. It's like, okay, well, what if I take what I've learned from, and the stuff that I'm learning, it's not like I'm just coming up with some brand new things um, out of the blue, and this is David Jeremiah's brilliant genius, work at play. Not at all. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And even that phrase, that's not mine. That's another quote. I forget who it is, so I can't give them proper credit. But all the books that I've read, all the podcast episodes I listened to, all the YouTube interviews and Q&As I listened to, all the speeches I listened to, all the different resources, all the questions I've had, all the thousands and thousands of conversations I've had with people from all walks of life, asking my own questions to people and learning and constantly just being this sponge. I get to take all that. And a lot of these times, people have devoted significant amounts of time, sometimes years, sometimes decades in their entire lives, to mastering and research and mastering this one specific topic. One of my favorite authors, just to give you an idea, is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. You can see the doctor there. So he's Dr. Benjamin Hardy. This is one of the books that I'm pulling from, Be Your Future Self Now. I've read quite a few different books of his over the past couple of years, but he's somebody that spent and continues to spend and invest a significant amount of time, energy, effort, and resources to continually mastering his craft and his study in his area of expertise and research in organizational psychology, specifically in the context of entrepreneurs and business people. And so he co-authored quite a few books with another person, and this is tying into what I wanted to talk briefly about today, because this is going all into the 101-day challenge that I'm going to be doing. Because again, the vision is, how do I take all the research that I've done over the past 10 years and create an actionable product, or let me not say product, an actionable solution, a resource that anybody can use. Just like if somebody's doing a traditional doctoral thesis, or they're writing their dissertation, and then they get it published, right? Anybody can read in, what their findings were, and hopefully they've contributed something new to the area that they were, investing a significant amount of themselves into studying. So mine's not necessarily going to be a a written thesis per se, although I am going to do that. That will be my first self-published book that I will finish and complete and self-publish by the end of this 101-day challenge that I'm starting on September 2nd, next Monday. But my aim of not only just writing that thesis, the thesis is basically capturing and distilling down my own research and what I found from observing and sitting at the foot of master craftsmen, people who have devoted themselves to these areas of studies, anywhere from knowing how to visualize, auto-suggestion, goal setting and achievement, productivity, planning, literally like the nuts and bolts of life. Like planning, how do you plan your day, to have the perfect day? How do you plan the perfect week? How do you set goals, for a year, 10 years out, 20 years out? But not just like dreaming about it, but like, how do you actually set goals in a way that's scientifically proven and data driven that you're going to, if you don't hit those goals, those massive goals that you're bold enough to set for yourself and do the actual work to work yourself back to the present, to actually go out and take this consistent actions to achieve those goals. If you don't actually achieve those goals, but you're consistent in taking your, shooting your shot, consistently over a period of time towards achieving that goal, even if you don't achieve it, you'll be a better person for it, and you're probably going to get a heck of a lot closer to achieving that goal if you learn how to set goals and achieve goals properly, as well as all the other things like mindset, all these different things that unfortunately they're just not taught in public school. For all the money and effort and energy and resources that are poured into public schooling, even private school for that matter, just education for the masses, it is unfortunate that these things that I think are fundamental to all human beings, especially in the modern world, you know, they should be fundamental for everybody. Knowing how to think critically, knowing how to ask the tough questions in life, and then how to actually go do the work to find the answer on your journey. So you're not just drifting around life aimlessly and essentially giving into despair, like there's no point in this life. How do we combat that? How do we live a life that's way more meaningful and fulfilling for each and every one of us? That has been a lot of the driving fuel behind me wanting to study and apply myself. Well, now I get to do this. I just had this idea to do this in part of my unofficial doctoral dissertation. I'm going to write my thesis about this and kind of summarize it all in probably about 40 pages and publish it. It'll be my first of many, what I hope to be many self-published works for my book. And I plan to write many books, for the next couple of years, however long I'm able to live. But I'm also going to be creating this project that ties into my entrepreneurial endeavors, and it's going to come in the form of a challenge, because people like challenges if it's done correctly, and especially if I'm able to deliver and what I'm looking to deliver. One of the things I'm looking to deliver in this challenge by the end of the 101 days is that there's a real shift and transformation. Again, I'm being the guinea pig. I'm being the lab monkey. That's putting myself out there publicly for all to see, and I'm going to be experimenting live and applying everything I've learned, and applying and creating in real time, documenting this transformation journey. And it's not just a health and fitness, although that is an aspect of it. And it's not just my career and business, entrepreneurial endeavors and finance. It's not just relationships. It's not just one thing per se. It's again, because the what does it mean to be human? What is the human experience? It's not just one thing. We're not just worker bees. That's all we do is just work and then drop dead. Like I don't believe that's what it truly means to be human. And the same thing, how I don't think it's just the goal of life is just hedonism and just going out and seeking pleasure, going from pleasure to pleasure to pleasure. I think there's something much more. We have a unique opportunity as human beings to realize what I believe to be a much higher purpose. I will say this: I believe that on a matter of purpose, and then I'll jump into the four C's. On a matter of purpose, I don't think it's just a primary. I think it's I'm not. I don't think it's just one thing. In fact, the framework and understanding that I believe in, that I found in my own journey after 39 plus years of being alive, is every human being, I believe, has a primary purpose and a secondary purpose. The primary purpose for every human being, all human beings everywhere, no matter who you are, where you are, no matter what time period you lived in all of human history, I believe human beings have the same primary purpose. It's not to procreate. I believe the primary purpose of all human beings is theosis. It's a Greek word for living in union with God, because I believe that there is a creator God. And I'll talk about a lot of that more in future videos, and especially starting to interview people who know way more than me on a topic of theosis, because I have not achieved it. But I believe the primary purpose, I believe every human being has the same primary purpose in life, and that is theosis, to live in union with God. Then we all have secondary purposes, and that's vocation based. That's, maybe relationships like husband, wife, mother, father, sister, brother, son, nephew, neighbor, uh, you know what I mean? Community or athlete, whatever it is that you're doing, those are all secondary purposes aimed at the much higher purpose, which is theosis. And everything that we do throughout our lifetime regarding our secondary purposes help us to achieve the ultimate greater purpose, which is theosis, learning how to live in union with God. And that's when we truly become alive and truly experience what it means to be truly human and to be an actual human being in its entirety, in the fullness of a human being. But that takes time. So, anyways, what I wanted to talk about today is the four C's. I'm calling it the four C's, the formula for goal success or goal achievement or goal attainment. That's not my idea. That came from Dan Sullivan. He's a co-author of plenty of books with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who I already mentioned, and he wrote a little short book on it. He's written quite a few different books. I think he's written well over 30 books by now, and he's in his mid to late 70s, and he's still cranking them out. But his concept that he came up with, the four C's, is that if we're going to be boldly going out and achieving, striving to achieve goals that we find meaningful, that we actually desire to achieve in life and accomplish in life throughout our entire lifetime. If we're going to go actually do that, we need the four C's. The first one, and it's in order, a sequence. You have to, if you're going to go out and put yourself out there and do the work and make the necessary efforts and sacrifices to achieve whatever it is you're looking to go after and achieve, you need the four C's. The first one is you need to commit. You need to truly commit yourself and say, I'm in. I'm doing this. The thing about being committed, once you commit, Dan Sullivan says, when you first commit to your goal, if it's a, they use this phrase, and I'll talk about much this later, 10x. Well, if you're setting a 10x goal, like something that just requires you to like just become just somebody who you're not currently, that's setting a 10x goal. If you don't know how you're going to do it, you don't have the skills yet, to know how to do it. Otherwise, you would have done it. That's essentially what Dan Sullivan says. He says, if you're truly setting a 10x goal and you're going to go after it and you commit to it, it's a 10x goal because you don't have those skills at the moment you set a 10x goal and you truly commit yourself to going out and doing the work to achieve that goal. You don't know how to do it. You don't have the skills, because if you did have the skills, you would have already been doing it. And therefore that's not a 10x goal. And so if you're setting a 10x goal, which is a massive goal in any area of your life, and you commit yourself, that's the first of the four C's. You don't know how to do it yet. That's good. That's a tail sign that you're on the right path, and you're a little fearful. I don't know, how am I going to even do this? Is this even possible? Well, then you move to the second one. The second of the four C's is courage. Courage. I'll say what the fourth one is. It's confidence. People say, what's the difference between courage and confidence? And actually, Dan Sullivan answers that. He says, courage doesn't feel good. If you're setting a 10x goal, you're setting out to do something, to accomplish something you've never even accomplished before, and it's a little intimidating because you don't know if you're even going to be able to do this. You certainly don't know even how to begin, or you don't have the skill sets to do it. But you're going to work up the courage to go and do it because you're committed to it. Well, that courage does not feel good. But when you work up the courage to go out and do what you're committed to doing, you're doing the work, you're taking the action, you're learning in real time, you're making adjustments, and you're committed, and you're consistently working up the courage and pushing through the uncomfortable feelings of, not having confidence. Eventually, when you do the thing enough in order to get to the 10x goal, you gain the third of the four C's. And the third C is capabilities. As you commit to something, your 10x goals, and you start working up the courage, consistently work up the courage to push past your fears and insecurities to go out and do the work to achieve those goals, then over time, especially if you're taking consistent action, you're going to start developing the capabilities to do the work. And what you're doing is you're acquiring the skills that are necessary to achieve it. As you acquire those skills, those capabilities, the third C, you then gain the fourth C, confidence. That's when you can do the thing, whatever the thing is that you're aiming, that's going to help you to aim at and continue to aim at and achieve whatever the 10x goal was that you set out to accomplish, that you committed yourself to do. And so I thought that it was a really useful framework, and obviously have not forgotten it. And I'm using that framework as well as quite a few other ones to help inform and guide my thinking and my planning and my action taking. But when it comes to the four C's, I've already taken this action this week. I decided a week ago, last Friday, so less than a week ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to actually build my own challenge. That's it's going to help people look the 75 hard challenge, but it's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much more impactful, so much more effective. And I'm going to execute on that challenge. But it's not just a challenge because this ties into this business venture that I've envisioned and did a tremendous amount of work on a couple years ago when I was still living here in Oregon. I moved to Arizona in the beginning of 2021. When I moved, I put this business venture down and I didn't look back. I put it down because I did not have the courage. I did not feel good about not knowing how to actually execute and go boldly into and courageously into the unknown in order to build what I envisioned and what I desired and what I believe could truly help people. Well, many years have passed, and now I realize after learning a tremendous amount, going through a lot of different things and experiences, now I am ready to lead and do this great work that I envisioned years ago, almost 10 years ago. I graduated from business school. I finished grad school in the summer of 2015, and about less than a year later, around a year later, around 2016 ish, is when I first started having these ideas and this vision for what could be something, and it tied into all my self study and personal research that I was already doing beginning in 2014. So it's not just a challenge that I'm doing, it's also tying into the overall platform. And what I envisioned building was an educational or is an educational platform. And I'll have much to say about that in the days and the weeks and the months and the years to come. I'll be beating my drum and shouting on the rooftops and basically doing one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's phrases that he always talks about. It's not his. He got that quote from Ted Turner, which is early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm preparing, consistently preparing and training, doing the work and forcing myself because I've already committed. I don't know how to do everything. I don't have all the skill sets, but I have the vision and I know what I want. I see what I really want in regards to this educational platform. I see how I can create this challenge, this 101-day challenge that I'm going to put myself through first. And then I'm going to, if and when it proves to be to deliver, of course, I'm going to bundle that up and offer that to the world, so people can start changing and completely changing and transforming their own lives. So, anyways, that's the work that I'm doing. I decided to commit to doing this week. I'm calling prep week. So on Monday, I did a what I call live at 5. Had some problems with the live stream. I had Zoom running. I figured it out as soon as I stopped the recording. The video wasn't working on Facebook and YouTube. I was able to live stream it to my Instagram video. But one of the main reasons for going live every day, I decided I'll just go live at 5 Monday through Friday of this week. And then I have a family reunion this weekend. And then Monday, September 2nd is go day. Like that's it's launch day. That's where I'm launching the day one of the 101-day challenge. By that time, I would have already clarified what those action steps are that I will be doing every single day for 101 days. But there's so much more that I'll be doing and broadcasting publicly. And I'll end it on this. One of the things that I'll be doing, and this ties into why I decided to live stream and start getting my reps in now. When I was in grad school, I started studying the lives of entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs, past and present. And I remember thinking, reading their biographies and autobiographies, first of all, I was so inspired. But I thought, I wish somebody, one of these very successful entrepreneurs from the past or the present, I wish they would have documented their journey, like in video format, blog format, podcast format. I wish they would have just documented what they're doing and building what they're learning, because it's inspiring to see what Elon Musk is doing, Jeff Bezos, Walt Disney, all these very successful serial entrepreneurs. It's very encouraging, and for me at least, who aspires to be one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. Yes, it's very inspiring for me to see these people. They're my heroes, right? But I would have learned so much more, and I think the whole world would have learned so much more and benefited so much more if these entrepreneurs, or at least one of them, that made, that built an empire, if they would have started documenting, if they documented, their whole rags to riches, their rise to fame, to the empire, from the beginning, when you get to see the humble beginnings and see how they started, and what they were learning, and in real time, seeing like, man, they're having to push past all these, limiting beliefs, mindset stuff, and sharing and being vulnerable and willing to share that publicly. It didn't dawn on me until very recently. I had the idea because I've had a couple of people throughout my life, thankfully, that believed in me before I even believed in myself, who actually mentioned this. Hey, why don't you? Maybe you can be the guy. Maybe you can be the person that does what you wished somebody would have done back in grad school. And I look back now and I realize they were right. And so I've committed to being that person. I've committed to telling my story, to be a storyteller, not to embellish anything. I don't want to embellish anything. I'm not trying to pretend to be somebody who I'm not. I'm not trying to be Instagram, like make it all look good. Like that's not, I think that's doing a disservice to people, and so while the overarching thing that I'm aiming at is being a very successful serial entrepreneur and businessman and investor, like that whole entering into that whole space and world and being one of the best and one of the greatest to compete in business and entrepreneurship and investing ever. Like I'm not going to hide that. Like that's what I'm looking at and what I'm aiming at. Um, I'm more than that. I'm not just an entrepreneur. You are not just a teacher. You are not just a mechanic. You are not just a driver. You are not just, a stay-at-home mom. You are not just whatever your vocation might be. We're so much more than that. And so that's one of the things that I'm looking to share publicly with what I'm doing right now. And so I have to get used to using technology, because by default, I'm not a tech person. I'm not. I've got many gifts. A lot of it is communication and storytelling, but technology is not one of my strong gifts. And so, it's humbling. I figured, might as well start playing around with this stuff. And thankfully, there are a lot of companies that are building products and services that make it very user friendly. So monkeys like me can start playing around with technology and hopefully, use this to benefit other people. So until I can actually hire somebody to outsource all this tech stuff to tech and media and editing and producing content and stuff like that, like ninjas, this is where I'm starting part of the humble beginnings. So I hope whatever your dreams are, whatever you're going through, whatever you're thinking about, no matter who you are, no matter where you are in life, no matter how old you are, no matter how many setbacks you've had, I hope that you don't give up, because I know what it feels like to give up on yourself and to get your dreams, because you think you have, basically, I'll sum it down to, or sum it up with, you have limiting beliefs that are winning out in your mind. Meaning, in your mind, you believe deeply, subconsciously, that maybe you're not good enough, maybe that you're an imposter, maybe you're not the person to do this, or who, how would I ever be able to do this? Or, I already invested so much time in this other thing and I'd have to start all over again. So there's a lot of things that go on mentally in our minds that can sabotage and stop us and kill our dreams long before, they even have a chance to to be tested out in the real world and to come into fruition. So hope you're all doing well. I've got two more, since it's Wednesday. I have two more live at fives this week, Thursday and Friday. This weekend, I got a business meeting in the morning on Saturday with one of my closest friends, who's also an entrepreneur. And since I'm only back in the Portland, Oregon area for, total 6 weeks, I've been here for 4 weeks now. I've got about 2.5 weeks left as of today. I'm trying to meet with him as much as possible, so we're basically entrepreneurs and meeting of the minds, and some other family and friends coming in town and going to all the different churches where I have a lot of good friends who are like family as well. So hope you're all doing well, and stay tuned, and feel free to follow me on YouTube and Facebook, Instagram. I'll be getting my X account up, as well as probably Rumble and maybe Twitch. I'm still thinking through all that stuff, but basically, I'm going to be shotgun blasting and just laying it all out there. Just again, Ted Turner's quote: "Getting early to bed, early to rise, work like hell and advertise." So I'll be doing the work every single day, not just on my business, but all the other aspects of my life, the health and fitness goals, business and career goals, financial goals, relationship goals, marriage goals, family goals, hobby goals, all that stuff. So hope you're doing well. And until tomorrow at live at 5, I will talk to you all then.